We'll now proceed with the roll call, please.
Senator Armstrong, Senator Wise,
Present.
Representative All, Representative Tate, Co-Chair Williams,
Here.
Co-Chair Hodgson.
Here. Okay, 4 out of 6, that gives us a quorum, so we are duly constituted for business. First order is we need to approve the minutes, which you all had in the email and in your package. Are there any corrections to the minutes? And if not, can I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Okay, motion and second. All those in favor? All right. Okay, the minutes are approved. With that, our first presenter, these are some folks I met at the NCSL, called Innovations in Public Funding. And the reason we've got them here is because they have a product that is of use with dispersing government funds to business, G2B, if you will. It's being used in multiple states and municipalities, and since we will be approving technology expenditures with public funds here, I thought it'd be best for us to get ahead of this and see what they have to offer that other states are using that might come here. And while they are not the only vendor playing in this space, I guess they are the largest and most widespread vendor in this digital wallet space for government to business. So with that, ask Jamie if you would take it away. Just be sure you got your green button.
It's on?
Okay, you're good. All right. Thank you very much. You guys may proceed.
Okay, thank you so much. First, hello. Thank you for your time. I know everyone's very busy. You have busy agendas. So I do like to acknowledge and appreciate setting some time out to learn more about digital wallets and Class Wallet. So a little bit about myself. I am the CEO of Class Wallet, but I'm more than just the CEO. I'm the founder, and I've dedicated about 25 years of my career to really maximizing the good of public funds and where technology and innovation can help public dollars make a bigger impact in what they're intended to do. Okay, so started my career as a corporate attorney at one point in time. I left that and started my first company, which was Adopt a Classroom. That was a philanthropic effort where I was able to leverage technology and basically streamline how donations can reach teachers. And I grew that to be one of the largest education philanthropy platforms in America. And today it facilitates donations to teachers in about 30% of U.S. public schools. In 2014, I took that passion to Class Wallet and started Class Wallet and how to really help public agencies, it's not for profit, it's a for-profit, help public agencies streamline processes, ultimately to maximize the impact of the dollars for which you're developing policy. Okay. Next. So Class Wallet is being used in 35 states around the country. We have a small presence in Kentucky. Mason County School District has signed a contract with us. But at the high level, we work with many, many state agencies, departments of education, early care, child care. We just signed a contract with the Alabama Department of Revenue, departments of Treasury we work with in Missouri and Indiana and Arizona. And the common theme is that what Class Wallet is doing is we are a financial technology company. And these agencies use our technology to get public funds to the right people and ensure those funds are used for the right purpose and have the maximum impact they're intended to have. What we're no stranger to is getting funds to the right people, public funds, and ensuring those public funds are used for the right purpose can be very, very complicated. I'm just going to share with you a couple examples of how state agencies use our digital wallet to overcome those challenges. So, for example, during COVID, when a lot of emergency relief money was being deployed, the state of Oklahoma had 20,000 families with children with special needs who could not go to school and could not access the tutors and therapists that their children needed and accessed every day. They contracted with Class Wallet. In 6 weeks' time, they were able to disperse $50 million to 20,000 families. They didn't have to hire a single FTE, not an additional staff member to do it. The entire $50 million was expended in 9 months, not a dollar left, not a dollar returned. They got full accountability and transparency on how every single penny was spent, and there wasn't a single misuse of fraud or abuse. Okay. Indiana wants to get more impact out of their career and workforce development programming. They now give wallets to 11th graders and 12th graders and adult learners so that they can put the power of the constituent decision-making where they can obtain goods and services for career and workforce development through a digital wallet. School choice or supplemental education goods, 8 of 13 states that have school choice programs use our digital wallet. Texas, the governor there wanted to provide supplemental support to families of high special needs children. We've managed about $150 million to hundreds of thousands of families who get benefit directly from the government to pay for tutors and therapists. Okay, all digital, all streamlined, no fraud, no abuse, maximum impact. So obviously here and in no other state, in all other states, it's not lost on anyone that policymakers are developing policy to solve problems, okay? They are appropriating dollars ultimately to provide a benefit to constituents. And sometimes more often than we desire, something breaks, okay? There's a policy, there's funding, it's intended to reach these constituents, and somewhere along the way, the impact of that program is either just diluted, it's stagnated, or it's just not meeting the expectations or the goals of the policy. Okay, we see that everywhere. Next. So why is that happening? And in the 10 years of work we've been doing this, we have a very unique view on where technology intersects with that problem. Okay. So the agencies that have been delegated responsibility for your policy sit between 3 stakeholder interests. The policymakers have delegated responsibility to them with as much guidance as they can. The beneficiaries, your constituents, want immediate access to the benefit. And the public, the auditors, need full transparency on how every dollar is spent. And those 3 interests oftentimes do not align. Okay. And in the middle are these agencies whose primary responsibility is to ensure program integrity, to ensure there's no fraud. Okay? The problem is the technology they have and the processes they have to ensure no fraud, to ensure program integrity, undermine program efficiency and program outcomes. Okay, and let me give you an example. So in the tools at your agency's disposal are one of 2 buckets. Okay, on one hand, you have cards, like SNAP cards, credit cards, debit cards. And they're very, very limited use. It's very hard to maintain program integrity on giving funds on credit cards or debit cards to your constituents. It doesn't happen. Okay. So if they're not using cards, what they're left to use is a centralized accounting system, some sort of reimbursement process, some sort of centralized procurement process. Your policy is meant to provide a benefit to a decentralized network of constituents. Okay. The technology they're using is meant to create efficiency through a centralized process. They're not built for maximizing the impact of a program meant to reach a decentralized network of constituents. So between cards, which are very limited use, and your centralized accounting system, reimbursement processes, which are really designed for centralized efficiency, is literally nothing, okay? And that's where digital wallets are filling in that space, okay? So go back, please. So when you look at programs that might not be having the impact that they're intended to have, or they're programs that have been funded to meet a demand, but yet at the end of a fiscal year, still are sitting on a decent proportion of money, they can't get the money out. This is what's happening, okay? When you really look at where bureaucracy comes from, where it germinates and its origins, okay, red tape, paperwork, stereotypical terms that the public perceive to be a problem. What happens is where your policies intersect with rubber hits the road program implementation and compliance, that intersection point where the agency's trying to manage compliance, no fraud, implement your program from a policy that has some guidelines, is where the bureaucracy originates, right at that friction point, okay? And so if you go to the next slide, what digital wallet technology is able to do is unlock that friction, where the funds can actually flow to the intended constituent with not only maintenance of program integrity, compliance, but with better compliance. And I'll explain how it works. At a fraction of the time, at a fraction of the cost of how they're doing it today. And most importantly, the constituents, the outcomes are through the roof. Okay. And when I say outcomes, it's not just impact, but when our agencies use Class Wallet, our clients, and we do NPS score, which is the industry standard of how consumers rate a service, literally the agencies get better NPS scores, I'm not joking, than Chick-fil-A, than Apple. They love the government program better than they love Chick-fil-A, okay? And this is true. All right, so how does it work? So how it works is the constituent would just gets a wallet, and there's an intended benefit. Let's say it's $7,500 early child care subsidy, or let's say it's a $12,000 scholarship, or a $3,000 career and workforce development grant intended for this eligible student or learner. Or we have, during COVID, organizations get $1 million in their wallet, okay? And so we have 10% of teachers in America have wallets, it's about $300. We have organizations with $1 million in their wallet. And it comes preloaded with all the rules and regulations of the program, okay? So if it's intended to pay service providers, it could be a tutor for a K-12 scholarship, or it could be a window installer for a COVID remediation program. Only approved service providers are linked to the wallet, okay? So no payment can even be initiated with any provider or vendor unless that vendor has been approved in the system, okay? If you want to let them procure goods, let's say the Career and Workforce Development Program, they can buy a laptop as part of the program. Every major vendor in America accepts Class Wallet's form for payment. We have Amazon, Office Depot, Home Depot, you name it, they accept Class Wallet. And only the SKUs that are allowed by the program. In other words, if only technology is, they're only going to see technology. They're not going to see coffee makers, okay? So the constituent can only initiate activity with pre-approved vendors and service providers. Class Wallet automates all the transaction details, the SKUs, the invoices, the statements, OCRs, all the data, makes it actionable, puts review on top of every transaction so no payment can even leave unless it's been authorized. And then all of it automatically reconciles, automatically pays all the vendors, and provides the agency audit-ready reporting in real time. And the result is that funds reach the constituent immediately. The constituent actually has agency to make decisions within this walled garden that best maximize the impact of that dollar for their life versus going through a centralized system. And all of it is maintained with no fraud, waste, or abuse, full transparency, high citizen satisfaction. Okay, next. So in conclusion, it's a new technology. No one's here has heard of Class Wallet, I'm sure. No one's here has heard of digital wallets for government, most likely. Okay, but it's coming. Okay, it's coming. Just like you used to write checks to your babysitters and your dog walkers, you now pay them with Zelle and Venmo. Okay, this is how government will be doing business. 35 states are already doing it. Okay, so just some examples. In COVID, there was a $5 billion program specific for non-public schools. 20% of that program was run through digital wallets, through Class Wallet. Okay. Teachers, where we first got our start, hence our name, were not only for education anymore, but that's where the word class came from originally. 10% of teachers in America get an appropriation from the CFO to buy classroom supplies and resources. Okay. As there are legislation to give parents more curation and choice over their children's education, 75% of all families in America who receive a K-12 scholarship receive it through Class Wallet. They pay their school tuition using Class Wallet. If your child is, autistic and horseback riding lessons is an approved use case, you're paying your horseback riding teacher using a digital wallet, just as you would pay your dog walker using Venmo or Zelle. Okay. And so it's a marriage where what had primarily been a consumer-like technology, Venmo, Zelle, that has made lives so much easier, is for government now to make lives easier for your constituents, number one. Number two, to maximize the outcomes of the programs that you're developing. Three, provide public agencies the technology they need because they don't have the adequate tools to do what you want them to do. No one's trying to do a bad job. Okay. Everyone is in public sector to do good. Okay. But that friction point where there's expectations, but the technology is not there to meet them, is where frustration and cynicism, that's where it all comes from. And we are changing that paradigm. And we're making government friendly, consumer friendly, and we're making your dollars really make an impact where you're psyched about Kentucky government as much as you're psyched about Chick-fil-A drive-through, okay? All right. So that's the high level. I'm happy to answer any questions, but I just want to introduce to you the concept of digital wallets for government and a little bit about Class Wallet as well.
Very interesting. A couple of questions. First,
If you could use your mic also,
okay.
Thank you. Yep.
A couple of questions. The transparency of it. Can the public actually go in and look at how every dollar is spent, or is that just government auditors?
That's up to the agency to do. So the agency gets full reporting and how they decide to use that data is up to them. So we have some clients that use platforms where the reporting is available to the public, but we serve the agency, and how the agency, whether they decide to make it public is their prerogative.
Okay. Second question, this may be peculiar to your company, but how do you set up a fee structure? Is it based on the dollars dispersed, or the number of users, the number of transactions?
How do you
charge for your
how do we
product?
charge for it?
Yeah.
So we charge a very manageable licensing fee that is based upon size. And we're financial technology, so we make our money very similar to like a credit card company. It's really it's a settlement fee upon payment. So the constituent is not impacted by it, the agency is not impacted by it, and the service providers, when we settle payment with them, they pay a settlement fee as they would when they collect a credit card.
Okay. Is it in the range of the same kind of percentage a credit card company charges?
It's actually much cheaper than a
Much
credit
cheaper.
card.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So everyone wins. They're used to getting paid by credit card. Now they're getting more money in their pocket, and we're able to provide the software to the agency at a very affordable price.
Okay. Can you speak to how Mason County, Kentucky is using this product right now?
What's the question?
Can you speak to how Mason County, Kentucky is using your product?
They've contracted. They're starting in spring, but it's a very prototypical school district use case, which, again, where we got our start, where they use our technology to disperse money to the classroom teachers so the teachers can buy resources and supplies. And they're contracted to begin work after January.
Okay. So as I understand it, we've got thousands of teachers in Kentucky, but it would be possible for the school board to give each one $200 spent on their classroom, and maybe the parents through the PTA raise $200, and both of those streams could go into the class wallet for a teacher to disperse for approved expenses. Is that correct?
Yes. So, for clarity, just we're not exclusively for education, so I don't want to pigeonhole the technology use case just for that. But to your example, the answer is yes. And we've worked with executive branches. So Governor Kemp, for example, in Georgia, he just made it an executive program. So every teacher, every paraprofessional, every early child care educator in the state of Georgia has a wallet. It wasn't a district by district. He just felt it was imperative that these are important stakeholders in our communities, and let's make sure they put money directly to them. So it can work at the district level. It could also work at the executive level as well.
Okay. We've also had some disasters here in Kentucky in recent years, floods and tornadoes, and you could set something up like this pretty quickly for disaster relief, for disbursement of funds with that.
Very quickly. Because it's digital, it's notional, the end user's never in the money flow. Okay, it's just a virtual balance. So we can disperse, we dispersed $450 million in 3 days. Okay, the money flow behind the scenes is divorced from the constituent impact. So we typically retail a 6-week implementation, but we've done implementations in literally less than 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the committee? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for this presentation. So can you kind of talk about the ease of the distribution, the process flow? For example, Chair Hodgson just used the example of the disasters here in Kentucky.
Yes.
So do you have like nonprofits that are associated, like for example, the Red Cross?
Yep.
And so then if I'm a donor of the Red Cross, I could actually donate money to the Red Cross through Class Wallet, and then it could end up going to the end recipient. So how does that happen? How, is it an application that's on my phone, or how do I work through that process?
Okay. So just for clarity, we are not in the philanthropy business. We do not accept donations. Okay. So what would be a different way of saying that same example is you've made a donation to the Red Cross, however which way you have chosen to do that. Red Cross uses our software to get its funds, however it collects, maybe the federal grants, state grants, donations, it's independent of what we care about. And they use Class Wallet to disperse funds to the stakeholders intended to get the benefit of the donation. So here is $100,000 for putting a blood bus in front of that school. I mean, I'm just trying to think of examples. So we do not collect donations. We are not a philanthropy company. We are a government software company. We are state ramp certified to serve government. To that end, we do have some nonprofit clients who use us to disperse the money, again, to get money to the right people, who remember that stakeholder is for them, and ensure those funds are used for the right purpose. Does that help?
It does, very much. We've got a nonprofit caucus, and so one of the issues that we have with our nonprofits is that those organizations that we've allotted money to, the expediency of getting that money to those nonprofits. So that's one of the reasons why I was asking that question. Yeah. And I guess I could go back and use the example of the teacher in the classroom. So if I'm a parent and I want the money or to donate to a teacher in the classroom, then how do I do that as a parent?
Okay, not through Class Wallet.
Not the class wallet. Okay, gotcha.
Yep.
Okay.
If the PTA wanted to disperse funds to the teachers that they've collected through their own donation mechanism, they might use Class Wallet.
Okay.
But we really are a service to the CFO, but we're not really at that donation level.
Not at the micro level.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Thank you.
Senator Wise?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. However, when you mentioned there the K-12 scholarships, I'm thinking about Keys money as the ability here of Kentucky money that we use based off your GPA and your ACT score. And it's very difficult, I know, for a lot of families always asking, they don't know how much their child has collected in Keys money. And then they're constantly contacting Kia or some of the other organizations here, which do a fantastic job of tracking that. But I can see how this would be very, very beneficial for families to be able to follow that on their own. So is that kind of what you're looking at?
That's exactly in our sweet spot. And what we found, because we do a lot of growing business in early child care, is that some families, families might be appropriated a benefit and they're not even aware of how much the benefit is. So by way of example, this one potential client, some of these families are low income. They're making, less than $20,000 a year. They weren't even aware that the benefit they were getting from the state was $50,000, because all they do is they take their child to daycare and drop it off. The provider gets reimbursed by the agency, and they don't. Versus a wallet where they see, I just got $50,000 from the state.
Right.
So. But to your point exactly, that's exactly what we do.
Good.
If there's an eligible candidate who is getting some sort of benefit or supplement to pay for additional testing scores, or maybe they're getting, advanced, AP classes, whatever it might be, that's exactly what Class Wallet is. They get it on their wallet. They see how much the benefit is. The test providers are linked. The community colleges, whatever, are linked. And they just are simply facilitating those transactions, and the payments are flowing much more quickly. The providers are getting paid quickly. Everyone's more satisfied.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very good.
Yep.
Thank you so much
Yep.
for that.
Okay. All right. Well, seeing no other comments, thank you very much. Interesting presentation. I'm sure we'll be having to revisit this topic soon. Thank you all for coming.
All right.
in.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for your attention.
Okay. Next up is Secretary of State's office.
Good morning.
Good morning. If you would just introduce yourself and your guests for the record, and you may
Yes.
proceed. Thank you.
Jennifer Sketchfield, Deputy Secretary of State and General Counsel for the Secretary of State. I have with me Rodney Barnes and David Dukes. Appreciate y'all having us here. We've taken our IT infrastructure very seriously under Secretary Adams' administration. We came in, it was aging. We didn't have a lot of changes that had happened in years. We have since grown our IT staff. We have 4 programmers now within our office. Rodney's in charge of kind of the infrastructure part of our office. We came in, computers were about 14 years old. We have since then upgraded everybody's operating systems as well as computers, hardware. You know, in our IT, we're constantly evolving. Obviously, we've made it available for our IT to be able to update languages that they're working in, and they're using that to upgrade what we're doing in our office. So much of what we do is involved in IT. Businesses file online. We have notaries file online. We have UCCs file online. We don't do a lot of the land office online. It's a lot of internet facing. But elections too. I mean, we work with our county clerks through IT connections. But I'm going to go ahead and let Rodney and David kind of tell you a little bit more. I can tell you the high level. They're going to tell you a little drill down.
There, now it's green. Thank you. It's David Dukes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. The Secretary's office maintains both public-facing and internal applications. Public-facing applications are all, excuse me, facing applications are all web-based and hosted on an SOS web server. Internal applications, known as IDE, uses a client-server application configuration that is accessed on internal user workstations. All applications utilize SQL databases. All applications are current, non-legacy applications built and maintained in-house by an IT staff of 5. That's an overview. Next up is an overview of infrastructure as it pertains to security by Rodney Barnes. After that, we'll walk through all of the applications.
Yes. The Secretary of State's infrastructure. Sure you got your button pressed there.
Yeah, the Secretary of State's infrastructure, we maintain a hybrid type environment where we both have internal structures, but we also have cloud-based structures that are hosted through AWS. All of our the infrastructure are application platforms, whether they're application, database, file server, are protected through multiple firewalls that are provided either through COT, State, Commonwealth of Kentucky, and or AWS firewall services. All of our endpoints, whether it's a server or a workstation, they're all protected by what I would consider an industry-leading endpoint security called Trend Micro that protects the execution and inbound and outbound connections. All of our, as David said, all of our applications use a SQL database or SQL databases. Those SQL databases are walled off from external. They reside on their own IP subnets. And whether it's a public-facing database or application or internal, the only way that those resources are accessed are via secure ports that are locking down those applications. And the other thing that I think is important to note that when we look at the external is protected through the firewalls and the endpoint security. Internally, the Secretary of State's office is protected through the perimeter firewalls, but we also have what is called a AWS COT transit gateway that protects all of our content from everybody else, and the only way that we can actually get to our content that's actually resides in AWS cloud is through that transit gateway, which was set up by the COT AWS partnership. And so that's basically the core of our environment. And as Jennifer stated just a few moments ago, we have completely renovated every workstation, every application server, every database, all operating systems, database versions, code, to use what I would consider the industry standards and best practices, the exact same ones that are used by COT, and everything that we do relative to what we're trying to do in providing our customers valid services, we do so in partnership with COT. We use the same policies, the same principles. While our infrastructure is housed at COT under or CDC in newer infrastructure, we use the same policies and procedures that they use, and we have them evaluate the things that we're doing on a regular basis to make sure that we're in compliance.
Okay, I'll walk through the various applications that we have, both public-facing and internal. I'll start with the business applications. On the public-facing side, we have SOS Fast Track, and it's a series of web applications to facilitate the submissions for filing business entity requests, including, but not limited to, file an annual report, create a new business, reinstatement, and office changes. Other web applications provide business entity search results and corresponding business records, and facilitate transmission of apostille and requests for certified copies. On the internal side, the IDE corporate editor manages the database of all business entities, including both those based in Kentucky and those out-of-state entities which do business in Kentucky. There is no charge for searching for existing business entity data. There are charges for filing various business filings online as required by KR statutes. The IDE one-stop interface provides a two-way interface with one-stop to coordinate business filings between SOS and one-stop. One-stop shares business entity information with revenue and unemployment. SOS provides daily, weekly, and monthly data extracts to Tyler Technologies, formerly Kentucky Interactive, for customer purchased subscriptions of businesses' public data. Under the Land Office, a series of public-facing web applications allows the public to search and examine Land Office records, including but not limited to military and non-military registers, land records, city annexations, and land warrants. The IDE internal Land Office application is the repository for many historical document types, such as early land records, state deeds. This application allows staff to manage indexing, scanning, and searching for these records. For elections, the public can view candidate filing documents, print a packet of candidate filing information and forms for prospective candidates, and view sample ballots provided by the county clerks and their vendors. The IDE internal elections application allows staff to enter candidate filing information from their filing forms, prepares ballot certification, and provides totals from the County Board of Elections SBE 49 forms in preparation of the official vote totals to be presented to the State Board of Elections. Notaries, the public can apply to become a notary, register to perform remote online notarization, search an active notary, search for a surety company, search for a listing of registered technology providers. The Department of Insurance sends a weekly file of active surety companies. The file is placed in a shared folder within COT's Move It system and is manually updated into the notary database. The IDE internal notaries application staff process the notary applications, including approval and denial of internal applications and applications submitted online. Remote online notarization registrations submitted online are approved or denied. The county clerks use an internal security portal to log in using email credentials. When a notary is approved, they must go to their county clerk's office, provide surety information, and swear in an oath. The county clerks use this portal to complete the notary information in the notary system. For trademarks and service marks, the public can search registered trademarks and search marks. The IDE internal trademarks application allows staff to approve or deny the registration of trademarks and service marks. Apostilles, the public can request e-apostille and verify apostilles issued by the SOS under the Hague Convention. The IDE internal application allows staff to approve or deny apostille filing requests. Uniform Commercial Code, or UCC. The public can file and search UCC financing statements to protect security interests and collateral. The internal application will allow for the approval or rejection of manually filed UCC financing statements and conduct searches of active and inactive financing statements. they also approved the online filings. Front office applications. The public can view occupational license tax documents per taxing district. The internal front office application allows the staff to track participants of the address confidentiality program, manage occupational license fee documents, and the printing of ambassador and Kentucky Colonel certificates. Kentucky Colonel information is available to SOS via access to a governor's office server and database. For summonses, the public can search for specific case number and counties of summonses going out of the state of Kentucky under the long arm statute. The IDE internal summonses application, as per KRS statute, mandates that all summonses initiated within state of Kentucky boundaries but going to out-of-state destinations are required to be processed by the SOS office, and the internal application allows them to do that. This application also interfaces with AOC for e-filings and USPS for tracking information. We have a notification service. The public can sign up via email to receive SOS documents that are filed or amended. The notification types include Secretary of State newsletter and updates on SOS activities and events, legislative notifications regarding enacted legislation, executive journal notification regarding official acts of the governor, business record notifications of activities related to specific business entities, Uniform Commercial Code or UCC notification of activities related to specific UCC filings. The internal application, there is an internal application that runs a Windows service. It processes all outgoing and email notifications sent by the SOS applications, both web and internal. And it processes notification service events, which sends an email to anyone who has signed up to be notified in the event of document changes.
So I think all of you thought we just did elections.
Almost done. Executive Journal. The public can search for official acts of governor and enrolled bills. The ID internal Executive Journal application allows staff to track legislative bills and executive orders going back to 1995. Legislative bills consist of, but are not limited to, enrolled House and Senate bills and constitutional amendments. Executive orders consist of, but are not limited to, commissions, executive agreements, proclamations, and state of emergency documents. The Secretary's desk has a series of public-facing web applications that contain a Secretary of State biographies for all previous Secretaries of State, a form submission to nominate an individual to be a Commonwealth ambassador, an online checkbook. This application allows the public to track our office expenditures, increasing transparency and accountability. We also have an internal accounting manager, which helps us manage the SOS interactions with the EMARS, the procurement system of the finance cabinet. And that, thank you.
We are open for questions.
Okay. Backing up on one thing, you mentioned Tyler Technologies, who I guess provides services to you for free like they do and make their money through transaction fees, convenience fees.
Correct.
How big of a piece of your portfolio is that?
It is this month's charges. I think I just received them via email. My fiscal officer will send me what I think it was around $30,000 for the last month.
Okay, so when you do an online business filing fee, part of what you're paying is that Tyler Technology?
That is correct.
Okay.
And I mean, we fund ourselves obviously through our business filing. So
Okay.
it's they get a
part
fairly
of the, part
large.
of the fee is funding SOS, part of it's paying for Tyler Technology online processing?
Correct.
Okay.
Depending on what the business filings, some of the business filings go into the general fund, some of the business filings go into our restricted fund. So
Understand. All right. Committee, what? Yeah. Senator Williams?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So you mentioned you access Amazon AWS through a COT interface on that. Do they procure the AWS cloud for you, or is it your own AWS cloud?
It is our own AWS cloud. One of the things that about 2 years into the administration, we realized we had aging servers, and it was just going to be a continual thing. And so we moved to the cloud.
There is a COT partnership that is actually between the AWS and COT, and we actually use the infrastructure of that agreement to work the procurement of our connectivity to AWS so that we could lock down for security purposes and not just go directly from our workstations through the public interfaces of the cloud, but we actually directly, when we connect to AWS, we go directly from COT and we enter directly into AWS infrastructure.
So that's communication. Is it a commercial cloud, or is it an AWS Gov cloud that provides?
It's an AWS Gov Cloud.
Very good. But it's yours. So again, that's your Gov cloud distinct from COT's Gov cloud.
That's correct. Yeah. We manage our infrastructure through AWS, and although COT has their own managed AWS infrastructure, we are actually independent of that, although we, in conjunction with their structures, we get the benefit of the pay scale or the costing of what we pay for it because we're part of that consortium of state government that's using that infrastructure.
Very good. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. You guys do a lot of stuff.
Yes.
All right. 2 items remaining on the agenda. I'm going to skip ahead to the last one and just call your attention to the memo from Kelly Robinson. We had asked a question in the last meeting about the executive branch's completion of the data gathering that we are looking for, and they responded they're about 80% of the way there. So hopefully by next month, we'll be able to get their presentation on the listing of all their master agreements and technology projects. So the last item then is number 5, and I'd just like to informally here have some discussion. In your packet, you'll see a sheet of paper here that's the questions that we are proposing to ask of agencies for technology funding requests. The left column, and this is not in the format it'll be in, this is just the nature of the questions. The items that will be of information that will be requested for existing systems, and then the right column is, the left column is a new development, the right column is modernization of current systems. So if we could take a minute, talk through that. Is there anything that we shouldn't have on this form? Is there anything that we should additionally ask for? When we get into this process, we're going to end up having a book with hundreds or potentially thousands of projects in there that we're going to have columns answering these questions. And as a committee, we'll need to go through those and vet those along with the recommendations of COT and other players. But it's going to be, that's the real work of this committee that is yet upcoming, and will be serving as an advisor to the budgetary process in 2026. So one of our tasks this year is we want to get this form ready, get that out to the agencies and say, here are the columns we're going to be expecting you to fill out for new development and for modernization. Okay. No comments from this group.
So one comment. So I think we're talking about here is the amount of the current projects done in-house or by a vendor. I wonder if we should, and maybe I don't have my glasses, so I don't know if I'm missing it here. That's okay, John. Maybe we should also take a look on how that was procured. Is it through a NASPO contract, or was it a sole source, or was it just an open bid on that? I don't know if that is on there or not.
We have on here whether it's a PON or a master agreement.
Okay.
Does that cover your item?
Well, master agreement could that still be a NASPO, whether it shows up, could be a NASPO or not a NASPO, right? It's a master agreement. So I'd like to know whether that was a procurement that was done by just the state of Kentucky, or whether we did it off of a national procurement one. That's sort of a subset of that, just clarification there.
Okay.
Okay. I think that might be helpful.
And ultimately, this committee is going to have to kind of rate, we're not going to have unlimited funds, so we're going to have to rate and rank these priorities. And so we've got things in here like how long do you expect the new system to ask? What's the estimated cost? And what's the return on investment? I don't think we ask that often enough in state government, but, you know, we're going to spend $1 million to save $100. That's not a good deal. Okay.
John, I know there's nothing on here regarding the criticality of the application. Of course, in order for us to do something like that, we would have to find what the definition of the criticality.
Okay.
If this application is not available, what's the impact?
Okay. That's good. Yeah, because that business continuity plan could be a significant cost. Absolutely. Yeah. Good. Good input. Anybody else? Anybody in the audience? Anyone passing by in the hall? Want to weigh in on this? Okay. All right. Well, hey, Jennifer's got the notes here from that input. I think those are good things that we can add in, and we'll have a final version to. What's our goal, Jay? We're going to try to get this voted on and implemented by the end of the year to get out to agencies with the form? Okay. All right.
Yes, absolutely, by the end of the year.
Okay. Well, that's our target. So our next meeting is October the,
Yes.
I can't remember the date.
I'm making a comment.
Okay, we don't have it yet. We do have a meeting in October. It'll be chaired by Senator Williams.
We don't have a date yet.
We have a date, I just don't have it written.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
Does anybody know that?
October the 9th. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The mystery is solved. All right, next meeting, October the 9th, chaired by Senator Williams. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yeah, can I ask?
Yes.
So I just want to make a comment. So we heard testimony last meeting on the new Next Gen 911, and I think they're out for procurement. And there's a question about legacy routers and whether they're going to conform to NEMA standards. So they did a review. I'm not sure what process they are or where they are in this, but I would like to ensure that, as based upon one of the questions, that they're actually going to not, there's legacy routers, which are more like analog routers, and there's a LSRs, and then going to the new NEMA standards for being able to back up if your main system goes down. You need really digital routers. And so there was a question there where it may be open that they were going to permit somebody to continue with legacy routers instead of having a fully digitized interface. So I'm going to send a little question to them
All right, good.
and ask that question. I just want to let this committee know that, see what that response is. And because I want to make sure they're complying with all the NEMA standards, that we don't end up for the next cycle being chained to some sort of legacy router from the past, and that we're fully digital and fully able to do a backup according to the NEMA standards.
Okay. Any
Okay.
more business to come before the committee today? If not, motion for adjournment? All right. Adjourned. Thank you.
And I would like to apologize for being late.